Well, good afternoon, guys. If you don't know where we're at, this is the Barron River Canyon. So in a couple days, Kyle and myself, just the two of us, will be actually down in the canyon doing some portaging. We're going to be staying at High Falls Lake. Tonight we're staying right in Achray, which is the local car camping site at the beginning of our trip. One of the things we're going to try and do, Tom Thomson, very famous painter in part of the group of 7 in and did a lot of painting in Algonquin, including several locations in and around the Barron River Canyon, in Achray. And the locations are known, and this has probably been done before, but we're going to try and see as many of the locations and compare them to the actual shots of his paintings. So come along for the trip. Hopefully it's a good one. Just as we were getting set up for the shots of the down here that I just showed, a peregrine falcon flew out to the west of us here and right across the canyon. Didn't see what tree it landed in, so I couldn't get a picture of it, but perfect habitat for them. High cliffs for being able to do their stoops to kill small birds. Very cool. Kyle doesn't want to leave, he loves it here. All right, so we made it to Achray. Right now we're just setting up at our car camping site for the night. We're at site 22, which is fairly wide open. Not a lot of privacy between the sites here, to be honest, but not too far from the lookout on the lake. We'll go and show you the beach afterwards. And then we'll do a bit of walking around to see where Tom Thomson did some of his paintings. All right, so behind the camera is Inside Out Cabin, which is now the park office here at Achray. This is where Tom Thomson actually stayed, 1916-17, and behind me is one of the shots one of his paintings. View over a lake in autumn is what he called it, but I'll superimpose the image of his painting over what you see behind you here. So actually years ago, I actually have stayed in this cabin when I was working in the park years ago. I helped build and work on the Centennial Ridges Trail along Highway 60, but we came up here to do some trail maintenance on the Berm Lake Trail. So we got to stay here 1 or 2 nights if I recall correctly. It's been a long time. And actually at that time, I think it was probably the last year or 2 before the train actually stopped. So behind here was the train tracks that went through across the north end of the park, up through to Brent and everywhere, and the train actually was still running at the time when I was here last. Sorry if there's any wind here, it is coming off the lake, but this is the location of probably Tom Thomson's one of his most famous paintings, the Jack Pine. Tom Thomson, the way he would work is he would do sketches on site during his time here. And then in the winter, he would go back to Toronto where he lived, and he would do full paintings. So there's some comments about this being maybe on a different lake, and he may have combined them, but this is roughly the location with the hills in the background of the Jack Pine, which is considered, like I said, is one of his most famous ones. Okay, so this is another spot, another sketch that Tom Thomson did, which is spring, rocks, and water. In the image, he actually either edited it out. I can't remember if the railway was still there at the time or it hadn't come in yet. I have a feeling it wasn't in, but he cut out this whole lower half and there's more lake in the image. But this big rock here is well prominent in the sketch. So this is the beach in Achray, like 15-second walk from our current site. So in the summer, this would be an awesome beach location on Grand Lake. Kyle and I have decided to call it an early night since it's dark and we didn't bother with getting firewood from the store today. So tomorrow we'll have a fire, obviously. Have a good night, guys. Started our canoeing, obviously, so we're heading down to Stratton Lake first. There's a short 40-meter portage, but before that we're going to go try and find a couple pictographs that are on Grand Lake here. We'll see if we can find them first. They're not very impressive, just a couple little marks, but it'll be neat to see if we can find them. Then we're going to go down to, I can't remember, St. Stephen, St. Anthony, can't remember the next lake. It's a nice little hop in, another 60K portage, and then we have a 590 down to High Falls Lake where we're spending the night, or the next 2 nights rather. Well, we're looking, but we haven't been able to find the pictographs yet. It's hard to spot them. They're not that detailed apparently, but hard to tell. It's just in that area there, backwards, E, if you can see it. Put it on the other camera. So up on that point up there, it's actually a traditional indigenous campsite. So it probably would have been used for thousands of years. Well, it's kind of hard to tell, but right here, this straight line here, there's a 90-degree bend and it goes over in this direction beyond those trees over here. So it comes back up through, you can sort of see the mound that's right here. These are walls from a camboose camp, an old traditional logging camp in Algonquin. If you go to the logging museum, you find out more about it. But all that's left here is just the foundation of the logs. It's probably, I'd say 40 by 40. And probably right here in the middle is where they had their, yeah, it would have been where they had their fire pit. And they had an open ceiling above it to expel the smoke. This is on the point just before going into the river that runs into the next lake, into Stratton. Well, it isn't much of a dam anymore at this point, but it still holds back a good chunk of the lake. There's some piers on the ends that look like it was much higher at one point in time. It must have been quite a bit higher at one point in time. Probably a good 3 feet higher.
There was something here.
Welcome to Stratton Lake. Welcome to St. Andrews Lake. Down at the end of here is, or was, a rock or a log chute. We'll be able to see the foundations of it. So we think this here, especially across here, that's part of the old foundation of the log sluice when they were driving the logs down the creek to High Falls Lake, and I think eventually on into the Barron River. This also could be a location where the foundation is, because there's a pile of rocks on that side and it's piled up here. It's really hard to tell after 100 years or so. So this is another Tom Thomson painting location for the waterfall sketch of a woodland waterfall. Unfortunately, the water level's so low, so you can't really see the rush of the water that's behind me. And it's been over 100 years, almost 110 years since he painted it. So a lot has changed. Not exact, but this is the rough location somewhere in here. There's lots of trees right behind the camera where I think it probably is a good shot, but you wouldn't be able to see anything to match the actual footage, or match the painting. And that over there is High Falls. Go have a closer look at it. It's a bit of a scramble up here and then up to get up to a flat spot where you can actually sort of stash your stuff. So it was a bit of a handle to get this get the canoe down. Kyle dropped his map back on the trail a little while ago, so he's gone back to go look for it quickly. But otherwise, we are in High Falls Lake now, which is where we are going to be spending the next 2 nights. It has been raining on and off, sort of when we went up to the falls and that, but hopefully that was it and it's over, and we'll get to our site, pick one of the 2 that are on this lake, and get some firewood and relax for a bit. So we've been here probably half hour, 45 minutes. Wanted to get set up because it kept threatening to rain. It was spitting on and off, so we figured it would be better just to get everything set up before worrying about anything else. Decent campsite, has a nice big fire pit, an area to cook, which is kind of nice. We've got water filtered out, tarp up just in case. I'm down here, and at the top of the hill, you can barely see his tent. That's where Kyle's staying tonight, well, next 2 nights. But yeah, the water level is really, really low. I would say it's probably about 3 feet lower than it should be. Yeah. But so far so good. We're here and need to find some food and relax for a bit and then go find firewood. So normally be in the middle of the river on a rock that's normally would be a hazard, but in this case the water's so low it's an access point to the middle of the river. So that side of the river back in 2016 had a forest fire go through it. So what you see is probably all the dead trees, but then low growth, probably poplar, maybe aspen as well, that would be coming up first as the first growth species that populate a fire afterwards. I'll get out of the way since Kyle's been throwing the wood at me. And we got a bit of a good start going already for it, so tonight we're doing up some tacos. Calling it a night. About 20 minutes ago, however, we did hear some wolves howling. So keep your ears open. Maybe hear them again tonight. We'll see. Either way, have a good night. All right, we made it down to the Barron River finally. It's just been a bunch of small portages to get down here. A few campsites along the way as well to check out. Beautiful one at the Cascades, which would have been something, had I known, I would have actually booked it instead of High Falls. It was only another portage and a little bit to get to it, so it would have been nice. So we got Bingham Lake to get to, which is probably about a kilometer away, I'd say, down the river here. And a couple short portages, and then we'll be into the main canyon area as well. Well, we've made it down Bingham Chutes portage, which is the last portage for now. Gonna grab a bite to eat and then head into the canyon. All right, we're at one of the other locations where Tom Thomson did a painting. He called it the Petawawa Gorges, even though it's the Barron River, not the Petawawa. So we'll show you that now. All right, we're at another location, just down from where we were just a minute ago, to another location where Tom Thomson painted, facing east. Again, called Petawawa Gorges. It's not the Petawawa River, obviously, it's the Barron River, but the Petawawa River is north of us here, so maybe he just called the area Petawawa area. Anyway, we may go find one more location before we head back to site. So this is the last shot I'm going to do with Tom Thomson's paintings. It's called the Petawawa, again, wrong river, but be that as it may. Couldn't quite get to the exact spot, and I think things have changed. Maybe some of the rockfall has happened since he painted, because there's a giant boulder that doesn't seem to fit where it shows on the Jeff's maps. As to, it'd be too prominent in the painting from where it's stated on the map. But anyhow, we're gonna head back now. We'll stop at. I'm gonna get some shots of Bingham Chute. Don't let go of it. Thank God for Kyle. He can carry it. Well, we're back at site now. We've been gone almost close to 8 hours in total, with just touring around and checking out some of the other campsites. But it was a good day. Mm-hmm. We're a bit tired, but
just a bit.
Not used to doing labor for 8 hours straight. So I'm making some quick bannock, fry bread. We had some leftover cheese, so we might as well make it. Lots of cheesy bannock, hopefully. We'll see how it all turns out.
The most delicious mozzarella bannock I've ever had.
The only mozzarella bannock you've ever had.
Still really, really good.
All gone now. There was a mouse near our cooking set, which happens unfortunately, but not much we can do about it other than close it down. Put away our food, so there just might be some crumbs that he's finding. Well, we're calling it a night. Last night, Kyle, just before bed, he did hear the wolves again. So I got a sound recorder out as well as a time lapse going, but it has clouded right over, so I don't know if we're going to see much or not, but hopefully we do. If not, see you guys in the morning. Well, we're almost done packing up. Just having a bite to eat soon in a few minutes. And then we'll be on our way back out to Achray. And we're on our way home. We have a portage in about 2 minutes. Probably the biggest one of the trip, actually, 590, I think. And it's a pretty steep takeout, which is a bit of a challenge, but we'll probably tag team the canoe, and I'll do half, Kyle will do half, or I'll do a quarter and Kyle will do 3/4. We'll see. Beautiful glass conditions this morning. Awesome. These logs here are cut logs from when they were floating logs down over 100 years ago. They don't rot when they're under the water that quickly. Only a very slight breeze on Stratton, which is nice because it's such a long lake. Lots of fetch that would come predominantly down the lake. So normally this would be a strong headwind. We've lucked out. The same will be hopefully the case, even though we don't have far to go on Grand Lake. It's such a long lake, predominantly or east-west lying. So the wind from the west just funnels down the lake. So that's why it gets so windy, or can be a pretty treacherous lake at times. And back into Grand Lake. Well, we made it. There was a little bit of a breeze coming across Grand, but it wasn't too bad. We just quartered into it. It is coming out of the west as expected. All in all, a great trip.
Amazing trip.
We are exhausted, admittedly. Yesterday's portaging with this canoe is a challenge. Thank you, Kyle, for doing the majority of the lifting. I'm getting too old and fat for it, but so be it. I'll have to maybe invest in something a little later. I keep saying that, and maybe one day I will. But I hope you enjoyed it and saw all the interesting locations where Tom Thomson did his paintings, and yeah, see you guys on the next one.